guys, Rebellion Tantra Hour here.
Welcome back, guys. We know it's been a couple of weeks. We apologize. And again, you know, we just try to get these out every week if we can. I'm pretty sure that for most of you, this isn't the highlight of your week. If it is, well, man, you know, then thank you for listening in. And, you know, I'm sorry that you missed us. I know for a lot of people that are kind of shut in, especially with COVID, it's just, you know, a lot of the normal things out there just don't give you as much pleasure anymore. You know what I mean? Just certain TV programs are just boring now, and just, you know, you're kind of tired of the same old foods. A lot of restaurants are closed. A lot of us are just in that kind of dull, plodding day-to-day. Man, I'm not tired of existence. I'm just tired of this kind of existence. You know what I mean? And yeah, we feel that too. We do not have a perfect life, guys. I don't know if anybody does, honestly. You know,
yeah.
I think even the most
we're blessed
people,
in some ways, but we're tested pretty hard.
Yeah,
so.
it has been kind of like
yeah.
we don't like to come out there unless we can give you the most positive, you know, best self that we
yeah,
can.
and for me, it's like, I know a lot of people talk about how everything is fake on Instagram. Everybody has this great life. I just don't like to share the negatives because people don't want to hear your negative stuff. But I always assume everybody's got their own problems, you know, and stuff. And
sometimes it is good to share a little bit of not negativity, but to show my life. Because
you got to show you're human, you know.
Well, you get this skewed lens, like look at everybody going out and having these great days and great vacations and, you know, eating here and drinking there and doing this and doing that. And it gives you a skewed view of reality, just like the media.
Hey, guys. I was inviting people, so I didn't see you arrive. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so, you know, we're in a slightly better mood this week, which is ironic.
Yeah.
It's been a shit week, but I've
been headachy all week, and it's just been horrible.
You know, you got to try and grin and bear it, man. You got to get with what you can, and know that there's a huge surfeit of love right now, and there's a huge surplus of hate, and people are just going fucking nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and it seems like they've successfully redirected. Hey guys, kind of redirected our attention that way. You know, and I don't blame people. It's just what you're inculcated with the time you're little kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just so much of what they put out there now encourages them to be selfish, encourages people to be distant emotionally, encourages people to be materialistic and monetary and not give a fuck about people's emotions like, well, I can't take care of me, I take care of you. And I was pointing out to her and a lot of our friends, man, despite some of the shit from previous eras, at least there was a vested interest in trying to ensure that young people became mature and independent and healthy and happy and able to have a partnership with each other, you know? And I'm convinced that one of the most scurrilous and pernicious parts of the agenda of the powers that be is to destroy not just a nuclear family, but the idea of healthy, happy relationships. Because there's basically three levels. I mean, you guys know that there's a codependent relationship where you're both fucked up. You know what I mean? You're not able to take care of yourself. You're not independent. You know what I mean? You desperately need each other. It's just kind of two parasites sucking off each other.
Yeah.
Then there's independent. You know, you're able to handle their shit. People are able to handle their shit, you do what you do. The best is when you're interdependent, you know what I mean? Where you're independent, but then you get together someone who's also independent, and together you build a partnership. And this is what most people forget, that for better or for worse, you know, it's not just a matter of sex and companionship, it's a matter of financial concerns. You know what I mean? It's fiscal, right? And if you are like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that, that's the reason I only have, you know, kind of standoffish relationships. That's okay too. That's not really that healthy. You shouldn't have to pool your money with someone. Is not what I'm saying. You shouldn't have to ever, you know, worry about that. I'm just saying you should get to a point where ideally you can meet someone else who's also that thing. Like, look, it's something I don't trust people, but you know, once burned, twice shy. You know, a lot of burns over here, and then develop another relationship that just, you know, kind of just.
To be honest, it's not about even the. Like, people would say maybe it's about morality. Because in LA, there's a very strong lack of morality.
That's what we're trying to get to. Because
hold on a second. I was going to try out our fill light today, and I wanted to see how it works out.
Because there's such a lack of love so much, and there's just this avaricious mentality, like I was saying, it just kind of makes you feel like, oh, what's the point? You know, why should I bother?
Yeah.
You know, this person, that's not really what I want. All I want is to be able to have what I want here. But as I say, that precludes you. I know, I kind of blew it.
Let's see how it looks on camera real quick.
It makes people worry about having anything other more than just like the most kind of tentative, touchy-feely relationship. And I get it. You know, when you've had a bad relationship and you've been, the point is, it's hard to have real love and respect blossom if you're in a place where money is your biggest concern, you're worried, regardless of whether you're independent or interdependent.
There, how's that? That's mixed.
That's perfect. That's really nice light.
It's a good light, actually. I'm testing stuff for actually better stuff we can do later.
In a time when there's, so many worries, so people like this and that, don't begrudge yourselves for, sex kind of tends to, I'm just saying at this time when you're tense, don't try to force yourself to have sex. You can try to force yourself to have a kiss. You know what I mean? Because you're just...
Connection is so important. For women, to be honest, the connection is the biggest thing. Women need to feel loved, and they need to feel, it's just the feminine energy needs to feel loved and safe. I tend to be like, my energy could go either way, but like, that's because I'm weird and stuff. For the most part, if you're very feminine, that's what you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with that. That's like just a part of your life. And honestly, as you grow and evolve, you change quite a bit. But let's quickly do a couple mantras to Ganesh, because just to remind everyone, our little kitty's crying, one of our kitties. And just remind everyone that Tantra's not just about sex, it's actually about yantras and mantras. Yantras are sacred geometry, and the mantras are things you say. And if you dedicate yourself to doing mantras, you will gain so much power so fast. And here's one of the secrets. This is in the Yoni Tantra, those of you who are interested. The Yoni Tantra being exactly what it sounds like. Basically, the vulva or vagina tantra. Basically, the idea is if you can do a mantra and pray while you're actually either going down on a woman or and then having sex with a woman, and while you're imagining her as the goddess, you will gain the most incredible power. It's like you can gain the greatest power from doing that. Just imagine
you were eating the macrocosmic pussy, so
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Think of fucking Bill Quick, except you're not going to disappear forever.
Yeah, that might not be the best thing to give people.
Okay,
you're right. God reference there for you guys.
But just think of the goddess and you can literally chant for a few minutes before the vagina, you know what I mean? Anyway, real quick. Om Gam Ganapati Nama, 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 Om Gam Ganapati Nama. And then you say one for the Guru, Om Gam Ganapati Nama. That's just 9 multiples of 9, usually 108 is what you would do. If that's a lot to start with, start with things like either 9, 21, or 27. Are good to start with on a daily basis, just to get yourself into the habit. You're calling in the cosmic gatekeeper. Ganesh is the cosmic gatekeeper, and there are.
A good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
A heck of a brand of incense.
Yeah. Yes. He's equivalent to Enoch in the Christian system because he's like, he'll be the voice of God. Ganesh would be like Christ. He's like someone filled with God who you can speak to as God. So there might be, in a sense, one Ganesh, and there, in another sense, is like thousands and millions of Ganesh. You could, it's like a Christ thing, kind of. So, so it's good to honor him, especially though, because he's like the spirit of Toth that you hear about, the Hermes spirit. There's a ascended master who matches the description of Hermes, and then there's the spirit, which is Toth, which is like God, and it goes around and it'll teach you and talk to you if you reach out to it.
When you hear about the phrase "wise as an elephant, wisdom of the elephants," this is where it actually goes back to the idea of the God, and the idea that certain animals were actually gods, hybrids, whatever come down. There's actually another great story in the Conan mythos by Robert E. Howard. One of the first ones called Tower of the Elephant, which I highly recommend everyone reads. First of all, it's a ripping good story, a really good yarn. Probably one of the best Conans out there from his early works. And secondly, it gives an indication that, a lot of those early writers, all the pulp guys, Lovecraft, Howard, Clark Ashton Smith, August Derleth, were all, hiding, aspects of their work in the occult, in their writings, and of course back and forth. So yeah, if you look at it, you can see a lot of indications in societies, like Golden Dawn or Rosy Cross and others like that they might have belonged to, where they're kind of alluding to certain things in there. And the Tower of the Elephant is an excellent example.
Yeah, like the universal unconscious is always talking to us through our media and through our art. And actually, I find that things that are written by groups of people, weirdly enough, everybody's like, oh, it's not a real book if it's not written by just one author in a basement somewhere. I really think that things written by groups of people get the archetypes better and get the storyline a little better because we put our own lives into it more. Nobody, you can't help it. You're trying to work out your unconscious through your writing, you know. So like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna do a free class at some point for how to use creative writing to literally change your physical life, as if you're writing your own life as a story.
Well, you know, because, you know, the very act of writing in almost all cultures is an act of creation in and of itself. Thank you, I appreciate that. You know, especially things like the Nordic cultures where each rune is also a word and very potent. It's like that in Hebrew, it's like that in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, it's like that in the cuneiform, in most of writing. So you're literally bringing into being, if you think about it. When you write, you're literally, oh, thank you, honey. That's really sweet of you. That's what I enjoy. So yeah, so whatever you write, that's why, you know, if you're an author, like Neil Gaiman, you're literally creating an actual universe somewhere, which now, again, quantum physics is backed up that when you create, that comes into existence. You are sort of your own God.
Actually, there's a fascinating idea that I've been toying with. There's a structure in your brain that's unique to human brains that looks exactly like the way that they've mapped out the universe. They've mapped out what they can see of the universe, and it looks just like this structure we have in our brain. And what's interesting in Taoism, and actually probably Mormonism too, to be honest, and a couple others, they believe that that you have a world inside of you, a universe inside of you that you can only touch through your spirit. And when you die, you go into your own universe, or you can go into someone else's universe if they trick you.
I just want to throw a shout out to Erica and kudos for knowing the actual meaning of abracadabra.
Yes, smart. Yeah, it's.
Oh, I love it. I wish we could.
Yes. I used to have a cat named Hocus Pocus, and I liked it because
it was. Oh my God! I didn't tell you. This will crack you guys up. Just happened on my Facebook. Apparently, the old Hocus Pocus movie, like that one, is trending number 3 in the U.S. today.
I know, it's weird. People love that movie. It was great, except that they eat babies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they eat babies. That's the one thing. The one thing I don't like about Winifred. You don't have to eat babies to stay young unless you're evil. That's the thing. They don't tell you there's another way to stay young. You don't have to be evil. You know what I mean? You can literally, if you want to stay young, and this goes to the blowjobs, by the way, we'll talk about they use specific techniques in White Tigress, and we'll talk about those. But the real truth is what you just want to really excite the guy. And a lot of these are made specifically for Asian guys who have specific things that they culturally take into life.
Well, God bless you for your Catholic guilt, hon. She's got a
me
good
too.
friend at it.
I went to Catholic school until I couldn't stand it anymore in the middle of the 7th grade.
One of the few things.
I was like, fuck this. I was tortured in public middle school, but I was still happier than being in Catholic school. You know, that's how bad Catholic school was.
Oh my God! Every Satanist ever wants to either lapse Catholic school, including my.
Listen, I think that a lower avatar of ISIS has taken over the Catholic Church, because literally, think about it. Every May, all you're doing is bringing roses to a statue of Mary and singing Queen of the May. That's absolutely the most pagan shit in the world, and that's fine if she was protecting us from child molesters. But I've never heard of an apparition of Mary saying anything about it. And then on top of it, you have this whole doctrine of offer your pain to the suffering people in purgatory. You know who eats pain? Demons eat pain. Bad people eat pain.
Both sides. No, I get it.
No, I get it.
I'm Italian Jewish, just like
that's hard. Yeah, tough. I've been around evangelists and Mormons.
I had a good friend. His mom was a cloistered nun in Ireland for 9 years. Right.
Yeah.
9. Didn't shit. Just for 9. Washed dead bodies, the whole 9 yards. She's a complete pagan now. Has been for many years. Does Namyo Renge-kyo, but yeah.
But listen, the goddess is always doing her best. That's the fact. She's always trying her best. It's just that she has if you're being the earth apparently is a way to work out your own unconscious crap in another dimension.
Listen,
so
Catholicism is all about just making kids dream like skills. I went to a little school out here in the Valley called Home Junior High School. There's a big Catholic school just a block north of that. You know what I mean? Remember all the guys going, oh man, the Catholic school's gonna be blown out, and I'm like, okay, I'm not into it, just, you know what I mean? I was like, what's the motivation, right? And then I understood, I get this shit all day long. And you see them out there smoking and swearing and acting all tough like a little Frank Zappa song. And you're like, yeah, I get it. When you got an angry fucking penguin, rapping your fucking knuckles because you You know, and I remember,
Dude, I don't know if you got any of that, but that was like, they couldn't hit us by the time I was in school, but it was almost as bad. Like, they were really fucked up. They were so...
Well, she got the opposite, okay.
So ridiculous. They were so ridiculous. Like, everything they believed, there was just... They lived in a fairy tale world and tried to get you to believe absolutely mad shit that they couldn't even explain.
It just sounds...
And it's not the religion. I mean, it's their belief. They had beliefs about the way men and women were supposed to relate. These people had never had a relationship in their lives, and they had these ideas about how animals have souls or don't have. Some would say they did. Some would say they didn't. And there's nothing one way or another really about it. So, like, except for maybe the donkey saw God in one of the passages, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, when a 6-year-old can put you into a fucking theosophical tizzy, all you can do is whack the kid.
No, my big thing was, why did Mary always have to be a virgin? Because that was such a big thing. It was like, you're so ashamed of sex. And a Jewish woman would never feel that way. Because sex was supposed to be you would have sex on a Friday night with your husband in a holy way because it was supposed to be the Holy Spirit. No, that's bullshit.
I know, that's a bad joke.
Bullshit. Don't believe that. That's not true.
That's correct.
But they actually, on the Sabbath night, they often, especially Hasidic Jews and people who follow the Kabbalah, they have sex to symbolize the Holy Spirit reuniting with the Godhead in a sexual way. And they believe the Holy Spirit's there. They're being really they would never not have sex, okay? So that whole thing bothered me so fucking much. I was like, why would God make her a woman and then not make her able to have sex? Because she's so holy. No, man, now she can never have pleasure her whole life because she's too holy for pleasure. You know? I'm like, well, why is God a jerk? You know what I mean?
I guess men are very, very bad cunnilingus, which is hilarious if you look at some of the poetry, guys like John Donne and shit. I'm like, no wonder this guy was so popular, man. Fucking one man out of 50,000 who actually look at pussy correctly. No wonder.
You guys go. If you have never seen the freaking Mormon.
I knew it. I was actually. I have Mormon relatives. I love them dearly. I have nothing to say.
Actually, there's a lot of true stuff in Mormonism. It's just that it's talking about an interdimensional space empire and not the true God.
Okay, this is an older
but it's real. It's real.
But it's. I even share some of my Mormon cousins who are wrong because there's this way. It's like when they show you'll see it. Just Mormon cartoons, kind of old, very staticky. But you'll see God as Elohim, kind of pimp walking up to Mary and shit.
Wow. And he walks up, he knocks on the door, and Mary's like, "Oh Lord, come on in. We gotta make a baby and shit." You know?
It's a really
like,
cartoon.
The Lord shows up at her door with a big old white beard. I'm like, listen, you could have shaved though. This is a little like I feel like I'm having sex with my granddad, and it's like so not sexy to me. I'm sorry. Like put on an angel suit or something. This is too fatherly. I can't deal.
It's everything. There's always some nugget of wisdom, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, there's a lot of truth in Mormonism on a lower level. There really is.
Even for all their fraudulent shit and their testing and this and that.
There's actually, when you try to find the truth, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a secret about Scientology that I learned through Anonymous. Okay, and it all relates. Everything relates, actually. But okay. Years ago, Anonymous dropped a bunch of shit on the internet talking about some of their deep secrets. And one of the deep secrets is that we were all in some kind of carnival billions of years ago, having our brains programmed with images of like crosses and like, you know, Christ and the devil and all this other shit. Well, here's the thing. When people take DMT, a lot of people see this weird amusement park, carnival kind of place. They go to this place. But it's not billions of years ago. It's like right now in some other dimension. You're actually there right now in another dimension. But like even Scientology could tap into and literally not even worth it out of, this is not knowledge that you should have to pay money for. This is like you could do DMT and learn more than see.
Don't forget that old L. Ron was hanging in with like Jack Parsons and Cunny and all those guys. He wasn't just being a muggins and fucking, dipping around Hollywood.
Yeah. He was involved with the Babylon Rite, which I was fascinated by for years.
Also in the media, I used to get away from there. Catch something where you shouldn't go. I said I worked at Universal Studios, and I worked on City Walks. I'm seeing all the big, huge propaganda videos all damn day long. And there's this one, I can't think of who it was. It's like, something about my bones. And it's like, you go to this carnival, right? And it's like this weird neon carnival.
Yeah.
And as you get to the date, you shuck off your body and become just bones. And you enjoy the carnival as bones.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the song. It's like, feel it in my bones, blanket, whatever. It's very poppy, but if you put it in, you should find it. But yeah, and they're like doing basketball with their own skulls and hitting the bell with the sledgehammer, and it's weird because symbolic they're trying to say is, yeah, you are just flesh and bones, and try not to, even though your body is so malleable and so easily hurt, try and see yourself as something a little less. Don't actually go out there and break yourself apart.
Yeah.
But understanding it's just kind of a temporal shell, and that not get too fixated on it.
Yeah, because if you go too far the other direction, if you get too dark, people who do DMT see something called the dark jester. And if you want to understand the dark jester, just get really into the Joker or in Freddy Krueger. Combine the two, that's the jester. It's not some place you want to go.
At the moment he's stepping off the cliff is kind of like a shuttler's cat, right?
It can go any direction.
Well, the Joker is the aspect of the fool that has plummeted over the cliff.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, and still, as he is falling, as he is looking into the abyss, is unable to recognize it for what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Possibly. Medusa's, I mean, again, she's one of three sisters. You gotta remember that Medusa symbolizes a woman cursed for basically male pride. Medusa is the classical third woman who suffers for male lust and female jealousy.
My research shows me,
shit, basically. Yeah. Zeus fucked her, Hera got pissed, now I eat the shit. You know what I'm saying?
From my understanding, I did a bunch of research into all kinds of mythology, and Medusa is a really interesting one. She's kind of, I would say she was, once you get to the Greek stuff, the stories get really weird, but it seems like she was a priestess of some kind of a cult who raised, she would have been like something snake and goat related. Somehow.
Well, there's like Typhon. She ties in Typhon myth.
Yeah.
The whole Starbucks thing again.
Yeah, and it relates to Zeus was actually raised by someone like that. He was raised by a goat or a goat herder or something. But the whole idea is when you break it down, you look at older shit. It's a priestess of some older cult that somehow is getting broken off and blamed by her. It's like almost like her higher self got mad at her and started hating her for something. And it's kind of related to the Book of Enoch, but it's really
it's
really
always
weird.
best to kind of use this long spoon, appreciate it, man. It's like, and this is why I love shit by Neil Gaiman, all the Sandman stories. If you never read the Books of Magic, they used to have at your local library. They're great little graphic novels about a kid named.
But it does have to do with the patriarchy and the demonizing.
Questions. So when you're dealing with any entity, it's the same shit. Don't take anything from it. Don't give anything to it. You know what I mean? You want nothing. Be careful how you phrase your shit. Like, oh, thanks, man, I owe you one, or just. You've got to almost use perfect English. Yeah, exactly. Book of Enoch. So
it's so weird. I've been trying to write something on it, and I finally think I'm ready because I finally understand the astrology in it.
This is why it's usually a good idea if you're going to do things like DMT to do it with an accomplishing spirit guide who can actually kind of see you as you're going through it and help guide you.
Like I was just study for years without doing anything, and then start with something the lightest thing you can, like light mushroom tea.
Yeah, just do microdose, man.
Just do that for a while until you really feel like you can do that. I want to point something
out where it comes to magic mushroom, guys. You got to be careful because there's three different varieties. Okay, the classic one is the psilocybe cubensis, which is fairly good and potent. There's also a strain called psilocybe cyanescens.
Yeah.
And it's cyanide, it's a little bluer, a bit more potent. And there's a thing called psilocybe azurescens, which grows up in Pacific Northwest, and they are extremely fucking potent. And they look almost identical. Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes a really good botanist to look at this one's this one's this. But again, this one's literally 10 times as potent as this fucker. Yeah. So if you needed a gram and a half to get off, you can so be very careful.
Oh, and by the way, salvia, 100% legal, but that shit is so strong, it'll make mushrooms shrink
Don't
away.
recommend it.
It's almost too strong.
Azurescens are fucking, and I tell people, man, if you don't know what you're getting, you're making shroom tea or whatever, and a lot of times also, it's not you, it's until people, just, you can be in a perfect state of mind, and you're good, your roommate's good, your house is good, whatever. Don't forget that when you expand your consciousness, when you expand your consciousness, it's radiating it out at all the other individuals around you for miles, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people around you are going to be very fucked up, very socially conditioned or, driven crazy. There's so many things that our society can do to render people in these little fucked up shells that just do nothing but feed darkness all day long. And there's nothing they can do to help themselves. They've been fucked all their lives. You know what I'm saying? Problem is when you're expanding your mind, you're bumping into all these people and you're feeling their pain, their suffering. There's not much you can do for them in this state or down here, and it just fucks your trip up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I recommend getting somewhere just way the fuck out in nature, as far away as possible.
Yeah.
So that's what you're tuning into again.
Basically, take this stuff when you're doing it for spiritual reasons. You should do it for spiritual. You should. A lot of these things should be reserved for special times when you really want to learn about yourself and about the universe. Anyway.
Well, here's a little trick, man. Remember that salt water is a great purgative, okay? And all you basically got to do, well, assuming you have a bathtub, fill your bathtub up, right? Dump a couple, 3 handfuls of salt in there. Call down your favorite light deity, just something that you literally believe represents all that is good and holy and righteous and decent and just. And then just kind of dunk yourself under. You consider baptism if you're Catholic. You consider it a washing. A lot of cultures do this.
And there are, if you want to do the prayer, like if you're raised Catholic, you might as well just go. Here's what I did. I just got into the grimoires because they're all basically by priests, for priests, you know, and they're really Catholic, and they work well if you actually do most of what it says in there within like reason, basically. Yeah. You get a lot better results.
It's not a joke. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And when they give you shit, go buy one of those little $18 microscopes, right? Have them swab the counter or some shit, put on a sled, and go, what the fuck? And go like, yeah, man, I want you to be a little germaphobe now. Don't turn into a Howie Mandel on me. God bless you, Howie, you're a good dude. Yeah. But yeah, let them know, man. You know, you don't understand that literally on a vibrational level, dust and dirt and shit like that, you know, in its natural environment is symbiotically tied to the earth. But inside houses and stuff, yeah, you want to clean stuff off. You have an altar, dust that thing daily.
There's a lot of weird matrix stuff to do with angles, like the way our houses are built in squares actually creates this 90-degree angle, which actually opens doorways to more negative stuff, honestly. Our whole society being built around squares, it's part of what keeps us in a lower vibration.
It might also help you,
like Navajo live in octagons.
Get like some good Himalayan sea salt like that you can put in a little grinder and just sprinkle a little bit. I mean, you know, assuming you don't have massively high blood pressure or whatever. But yeah, just try to get a little inside you as well, and like pray over it and bless it. Put it out in the sunlight for a minute. Salt, it does great at absorbing solar energy.
Yeah, and Florida water, obviously, Florida water is always good, and it's like $4. And you can make it yourself if you have to.
Maryland, she says nanoparticle, evil, smart demon dust. I don't know if you guys have heard about the mosquitoes out here, the new Asian gypsies. These aren't mosquitoes. These are fucking woodpeckers, man. Look at this shit. You get to see this. It looks like they've been drilling on my shit with a fucking sledgehammer, man.
But like, no, it's true. Have you heard the nano shit? Okay,
but
there is
I
something
think that these are little. Sorry, I believe that these are actual mosquitoes. But they've, had little nanoparticles put into them. They're just, I mean, think about it. Would you want to spend millions on drones or just figure out a way to make every little mosquito susceptible to some kind of radio control, and you can fly it where you want, and you can sting who you want, and it's a perfect fucking disease vector.
Exactly. No, I mean, what I'm saying, though, is have you heard of the goo? I actually heard of it before the Prometheus thing, and I've seen it. My higher dimensional friend is like, he's kind of both light and dark. Like, basically, I'm trying to help him as much as he's helped me. He would put his hand up, and shadows would come out of his hand, and the shadows would have consciousness in them. It's like, it's some kind of nanoparticle, and I'm told that it's related to a war that happened in the solar system, and specifically to Mars. So, somehow they were able to download people's consciousness, but they couldn't, obviously, their soul. So it's like, they're not whole people. They're like kind of demonic in a sense. So it's like, this was an experiment that went terribly, terribly wrong. So whenever we think about downloading ourselves into the Matrix, remember, this has been done, and it did not work at all, okay? But they try to save these people by merging their consciousness with actual new people who are perfectly in sync with them, like their energy is in sync with them.
Oh, I'm glad, Erica. Yeah, I mean, I guess everything has its purpose, when you look at it, again, from like Eastern philosophy of yin and yang, there's always got to be a little dark, white in the black and a little black and white in the dark.
That's how we have, in order, honestly, true peace is like, it's just silence in a sense. It's like you creating as the creator totally egolessly from a totally different it's like a totally different thing. Like when people, I was going to tell him this earlier about ghosts. When ghosts, you can get them to go into the light, but a lot of times they'll come back, and you wonder why. Because the truth is, the light is our centralized consciousness, and you can go there and you can have peace, but until you've really, really made peace with yourself, basically every time they remember their home, they're walking around their home, As if, it's like literally think about a place that you work right now. Think about going to your desk. There's a little part of your...
Listen, we're grateful to you. I can
Oh,
only
we are,
imagine.
yes.
Well, I know what it's like for years to just be like, I just want to talk to someone and not be treated like I'm fucking a lunatic or need a big ass shot of Thorazine in the straight jacket.
That's how we feel all
or
the
even
time.
worse, to be just dismissed with that eye roll, like, oh, okay, yeah, and you can just feel them drifting further and further away from you. And you're like, I just want to establish a human connection. So,
no, I
Erica,
feel like that too, all the time.
For any reason we've helped you, believe me, we're so grateful.
No, I'm so glad that people are here and enjoying
that makes my night. That's what
whatever we talk about, as long as it's helping you guys, that's what matters.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're all ashes and dust at some point, man. That's all I want to get
I'm just trying to make a little use of my time here.
Yeah. Yeah, we just want people to be happy, man. And it's so hard, and it's not wrong for human beings to be happy, but so much of what we do in our daily lives not only precludes us, but punishes us for being happy, or worse, trying to help others to be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I tell everyone, man, never forget the law of place. And the law of place states go where you're appreciated, not just tolerated. Whether it be your work environment, your home environment, whatever environment, if people just come in and shine you on, you don't have to hate or feel for them. You're just not where you should be, man. You know, you're a square peg in a round hole. Go to the round hole land. Where everyone's all, oh, yeah, another round hole, come on, kick it in.
Exactly. It's just like we need to be open. Like
it's easy to say that normally. I'm not cutting you. I'm so sorry, honey. But yeah, it's like we're all locked down COVID. So just know that you're kind of in a holding pattern right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just... If you're in an airplane, you're like, I just wish this fucker would land. I want to get down. I want to get my luggage. I want to take a shit. I want to have a beer. I need to smoke. Whatever. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you guys. Thank you too, Sean, man.
Yeah, no, all this stuff is like everybody's getting really, really real intel now. Everybody's getting, a lot of people I look around are getting like really good intel, and I'm trying to be at the forefront of it, so that I can get some stuff ahead of time, because I'm basically... here's what I learned. I learned something. I listened to this thing called the Divine Pymander. It's actually, it's a Hermes. It's Hermes. It's a Hermes book. It's about how Hermes became enlightened. And the more I go through this, the more I understand what it's talking about, but not just like I really understand it deeply. And apparently, if you have a job in this universe, if you have a job that, like a matrix level job, you've already made it out. Yeah. And I know I have a matrix level job because I'm the one who opened the gate, or I'm the washer in the key. I'm the little. I'm
the tumbler.
I'm a tumbler in the key, in the thing that helped it happen, because the tumbler had already been lost. They had to replace it with a far lesser tumbler. But I'm still a tumbler, and I'm still doing that job. So hopefully I can get out. But the point is,
might be God's locksmith is the point.
Anyway, the whole point is, once you get out, you're going to be part of God like an angel and have a job, because that's what we all are. We're all part of this one unified consciousness. Although I do think it's possible to differentiate.
Well, sometimes you need to, man, and that's the point. Is some people are just so stubborn, and that's it. They're like, and that's what we learned from her dad, man. Like, I'm just going to set myself up against you, and the more you try to show me a good path of life, the more I'm going to delight in saying fuck you.
I know.
And it's like, cool, dude. Then maybe the whole thing is you were just unconsciously begging someone to shatter your defenses. You know what I mean? But what I prefer to do, Sean, what's even easier and funnier, let them Bugs Bunny themselves, dude. They have a situation where they string up a sledgehammer and drop on your fucking noggin and then walk under it unconsciously and just let them crack themselves, man. You know what I mean?
Sometimes spirit especially puts you in situations where you're isolated, because it's part of how you can, like, going away like a hermit. You have to get into yourself and stuff, like, especially someone like me, or like a lot of people who, you're ambitious, you want to do things with your life, you want to be big, but that's not how you get out. How you get out is you have to get into yourself and get above the ego that is you right now, and realize you are everything you want to be. You've already done everything.
And a happy pagan. That was my whole thing early on, is I don't want to be told that my choice of religion means I have to shit on someone else's religion, or at least look at them askance, or just judge them. I don't give a fuck, dude. Your whole point of your religion, ostensibly, you tell me, don't judge people. Oh, feel free to judge that motherfucker. We're all equal under God's eye. They're going to hell. And it's that dichotomy in most religions, that fucking back and forth hypocrisy, as opposed to like kind of a melded, continuous whole, that puts people off to most of these religions. Goes, no, I just can't handle it, dude. I feel like a fucking ping pong ball, smack back and forth continuously, and that's how you just kind of keep me in and out of the fucking temple and in and out of the collection box.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've been in such a bad time, but, like, just to get to the song kind of subject, because we don't have very long, but, like, basically, I'm going to talk about this probably next week because
I'll
this
just say
didn't
this,
come
Matt.
out so much. But really, the art of seduction, the only honest way to be a seductress or anything is to seduce yourself and to let people fall in love with the person that you are.
You gotta go.
And there's ways to get to know yourself, the energy that's you, so that you can love yourself and accept. Because a lot of times we don't love parts of ourselves, but they're all important parts of ourselves that God put into us for a reason. Like I have a lot of like inner strength and I have a lot of anger, but there's a reason. There's reasons for all that. There's a lot of injustice in the world, and I can put my anger, I can focus it toward changing that in different ways. You know.
Well, that's the point, guys. Whatever you're in, don't let them trick you into being hateful and shitty and snotty. Allow yourself the luxury of encompassing other people's religions. And man, when I was raised, I got to know so many different people, so many different places, so many different religions and stuff, and it was always with this beautiful kind of like, not really scientific eye, but just, okay, cool, you know what I mean, and not non-judgmental, and it was such a rare and precious gift. There's so few places anywhere in the world even have that in a certain time, you know what I mean? Here's the irony. Any guys that are watching Trump, and you're watching in his fucking hospital, that little hospital he's in, Walter Reed, okay, go north about 20 minutes, little place called Grosvenor Park, that's where I grew up. So watching him in the hospital is just, because my mom worked across the street at NIH, I played in Walter Reed and Bethesda are pretty much right next to each other. It's this one little government thing and all going back and forth, and it's just so weird to me to remember just being a kid and growing up there and just doing all the shit kids do, you know, with government hoopla, and you're a kid, you don't care, dude, I don't give a shit who a man is, I just want to play with my little fucking, you know, Hot Wheels on the ground and shit. But yeah, looking at it back now, realizing how close everything is to proximity and the halls of justice, and I was telling her when I was a kid it was all forest, it's all built now, and it just takes me to a time and a place where I, you know, got to see the inner workings of our government and our you know, alphabet soup letter agencies and all this shit. And I want to remind you guys of all this. We like to think that all of our leaders, most of our people, are somehow smarter or better or more inherently moral than us. Sometimes that is the case. Unfortunately, more often than not, they're just really avaricious pieces of shit who got where they are because they had a penchant for power and control and an ability to shuck off their soul and their conscience to get where they are. And never forget that. Never forget that, okay?
And that's the end of the Kali Yuga, the end of this age, this dark age that we're in. This is typical of that. That's why I say don't follow Trump, because nobody who's in power now is going to be somebody that you can freaking... I'm not saying don't save the children. I'm saying he's molesting children, to be honest with you. He's a hypocrite who thinks that he's different and better in some ways, okay? I'm sorry. But if God is going to use him to save children, God bless that, because I know this is all part of God's plan. But that doesn't mean that he's a saint or a holy person. God could use the Pharaoh. God hardened the Pharaoh's heart because he wanted it to. God can make you feel or do what he wants you to do. As we get closer and closer to the election, and don't forget, guys, that Samhain is traditionally a time of great sacrifice to Celtic religion. So they're really trying to whip. Traditionally, what they would do is whip you up at the kind of beginning and just kind of prepare you to be the sacrifice at the end of the month. So that's all this pain and panic and tension and terror. Not only to the Samhain sacrifice, but that way, as you move into the election, hopefully you're so distracted by all this rigmarole and shit, you know where the shit will go by, and you just automatically push the button they want you to. And more importantly, during this whole thing, you have all this sexual tension and frustration built up. Don't let them do it to you. Clear your channels, clear your chakras, crack one out, whatever you got to do, and just go, no, you know, and don't ever forget that sometimes you have the right to just say, I don't like this choice, and I don't like that choice, I'm just not going. Well, if you don't vote, no. It's your choice to vote for who you want to, and if you don't like either candidates, you can feel free to say, fuck it, I'm skipping to the next one. That's the key. This world is built on the lie of black and white. That's why this world is always symbolized by a black and white checkerboard floor. It's a lie, okay? It's a lie. You don't have to pick black or white. The black or white because the white is actually, the only way to be purely white is basically to give up your physical form completely and be dead. And a lot of spirits that want you to be white are actually trying to lead you toward that, which is fine if you understand that's what you're doing. But most people don't understand that's what they're doing.
Like I said, I'm not playing point.
But there's higher ways to be balanced. There's higher ways to have energy and to be alive for as long as you want, and to be and to ascend. Okay, but basically, there's two sides on the earth that are based fourth dimensional, you would say, but because they're stuck on the earth, they're connected to the earth.
Right.
Once you get above that, you can see that it's a cycle. The good wins for a while, the evil wins for a while. The good wins for a while.
And again,
it's like a story, kind of.
They want to polarize you into saying, you have to like this guy.
Yeah.
Like him. I don't dislike Trump. I love his attitude on China.
Yeah.
I love a lot of his policies. I like a thing. And that thing they tell you either have to be completely down with someone or completely against them. Either you love someone unconditionally or you hate them unconditionally. I don't, man. I admire the qualities and modalities of people that I admire them. And I don't like, but that's the thing. You don't have to like someone 100% to want to vote for them. What you have to do is say, balanced wise, do I personally feel that where this guy's here is, and here is enough, that I feel that they would be good in whatever position is for the rest of, 2 years, 4 years, 1 year term. And that's where you personally, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Again, we don't see 100% eye to eye, but we still love each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to convince her the validity of my position. We're trying to convince me. It's like, well, again, a lot of it is your work, your socialization.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I tend to work with sheriffs and cops a lot, man, even though I'm a long-haired stoner biker with an arrest record as long as your arm. I kind of get to understand their point of view. By the same token, I really loathe all these fucking scumbags that are in there just corrupt as shit, hurting people, fucking people over, making their fellow guys just fucking miserable and shit, ruining communities, ruining lives. But you know what? It is what it is. And as I say, man, that's the law of place. Because the thing is, and you've got to understand, and it took me fucking years to get this, this is Los Angeles, gang capital of the nation. The vast majority of fuckers who live here like it like that. They love it like that.
There's a lot of people
fucking want it to be that way.
And it's like that on a global scale.
I don't belong here, man. Like you're saying, I love it here, man, but I don't feel comfortable here. I don't belong here. I don't want to be a gang member. I don't want to allow myself racially, politically. But if you don't, and you live in SoCal, dude, you're going to be a fucking lonely motherfucker, man.
Listen, there's a few, my ancestors came over. My first ancestor was a conquistador who came over. He was from the Basque area of Spain. And so my people have been, and they intermarried with the native people. I have no idea how much genetically. I have probably very little, I would assume. But my grandmother looked like she's more native, and so did her people. But I'm mostly probably Spanish and Basque on that side. But the point is, I've been here a while. I didn't choose to be born here. I am a performer, but honestly, I'm a little more suited to the stage as I'm a singer. And
I know. Well, Erica, just come visit, man. That's what you do. You come down here, you visit for a little while. Come visit us, man. We'll hang out. We got nothing but fucking space. Feel free. Hop down here for a day or two. You're more than welcome to. But I got family in Washington, and every one of my family lives up there, relocated from San Bernardino. You know what I mean? And look at San Bernardino. In 1977, all-American city, working-class paradise, salt of the earth, blacks, whites, Mexican, every race getting along great, man. Nobody gave a shit. Now, it's a fucking war zone, man. It's ugly. It's fucking horrible. It breaks my heart to roll through there. But it is what it is, man. Like I said, when you live in a place where predominantly people favor criminality, where they want it, where they need it, where they're proud of it, where they fucking do it generationally, you're out of place.
Oh, dude, let me tell you about Baltimore sometime.
Oh,
Not
God,
now. I'll tell you, I spent 3 days in Baltimore in the 90s, and it was the most shocking 3 days of my entire lily white little fucking Palmdale life. Because it was
Carson. Yeah, Carson.
There were teenage girls who were hookers out of their parents' houses and shit. It was like the most low. I was like, I genuinely feel sorry for all of you because you're so fucking. You have no bar. Your bar is so low. It was like all of them had babies by the time they were 15.
Where are you at?
I was old to have a baby compared to them.
Oh,
actually.
Most of them.
And I felt like a baby myself. I thought I was really ashamed of having a kid so young. And, they were way younger than me. And I was like, what? It was really shocking to me. It was the first time I ever heard the N-word said by a person out loud.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, are you serious?
That's a blue
It was like... I was like, we don't do that shit in California. We're different.
You know what?
But we were.
I
thought we were.
I had good times in San Pedro, man. And it's funny again how people will, Compton gets all the glory. Carson's next door to Gardena. Carson. You never people talk shit about Carson. You know what I mean? Even though there's just as much crime and just as much grief. And again, Compton is a beautiful fucking place, man. Really nice house just has a bad crime rate. But it's funny how media and people and names and bands fixate on it. Because every time I look at the news, someone just got shot over in Lomita. 2 dudes just got smoked in Lomita. Other people, Lomita was this little beach community for poor people, basically, right next to rolling hills and Ranchos Palos Verde and shit. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the one thing, man, is, you know, we do have great food down there. It's one thing when you go up to Washington or Oregon and you're trying to look for a decent taco, man, you gotta kind of hunt around, because I don't do Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I love Del Taco, but I don't do Taco Bell. But yeah, I honestly like a real street food and tacos and shit. Oh yeah, yeah, Compton. I mean, it's like any other area. You know what I mean? It's like downtown. When I first started hanging out downtown, my friends lived there, like off of Santa Fe and Third or Santa Fe and Willow, near the old LA Times building. It was a fucking ghost town, man. I mean, a ghost town. I mean, like Friday night, middle of summer, I'm listening to fucking crickets chirp. You know what I mean? And then as people started to get into it more and more, and it gentrified, and people started to move down there and hang out, it got really, really crowded. You know, but yeah, it's just, you know, it is what it is. Neighborhoods go up and they go down, they get gentrified, they get bought out, they build new shit, they take new shit out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like people are like, oh, you go down there? I'm like, you know what, man? If you're not actually in a gang, you don't look like you're in a gang, you're a little bit older at certain shit, and you're respectful, it isn't like you can roll anywhere, but you can pretty much, you know what I mean? And again, it's just, do you have a purpose where you're going? If you're just kind of aimlessly rambling, you know what I mean? But like, I'm trying to get from here to here, whatever. Like I had a buddy who lived in San Pedro Project, belonged to Pirate Group, and we go down there and work on it. Yeah, I'm going down the 110. And every now and then, man, some shit goes on, accident, freeway shit, and you got to get off and go through, you know, the neighborhoods, man. And I'd be like, well, you know, something else, man. Just don't look blasé. Don't look, you know what I mean? Just be aware and pay attention. If you got to stomp on the gas, make a right turn real quick, do it, you know? But, yeah, at any given day, people are saying it's really is, usually it's people just trying to, you know, criminal on criminal and shit like that. But I'm getting off the subject here. But the point is that this time, we're just trying to put out as much love and compassion for each other. And
listen, it's
a really hard time.
It's a dark time, okay? There's some kind of science to it that once we understand it, it's going to make perfect sense, and we're going to go, oh my God, we're so silly.
Ding.
But there is some kind of influence that the stars have on our DNA. I can't explain it logically at the moment, but it definitely is there.
Hey, Alexander.
If all you have to do is make enough talismans by the stars, like make sure to watch where you're, because that's what it's all about anyway. You're capturing the energy of the stars at that moment. It's like, it's a matrix trick. It's literally, you can create a little item with the energies of certain energies that'll trick the computer into thinking that's a living thing, and then you can like carry it around to change your energy. Right. It's literally a matrixy trick that they've got. It's probably just proof that we're in the matrix.
We've had Mars real close to a moon for a while now, so and it almost forms like a perfect little man symbol if you look at it. It's like, here's the moon, a little circle, and there's Mars, it's a little point.
Yeah.
And so it's like real pointy Martian, jibby-jabby energy.
It's been a jabby energy. It sure has.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a fact, Erica. That's not, you know, speculative shit. We're all made of stardust. Everything on our planet was born in the heart of the sun. Every bit of gold, platinum, all that stuff.
It's true.
Oh, thank you.
And that gold, it's rare and it's valuable because it's not on every planet. It depends on where you were when a star blew up.
Yeah,
you know?
when a star blew up.
You know, exactly.
Oh man, you guys saw. They've discovered a black hole with 6 galaxies stuck in its like web.
Wow, what the
fuck? I was like, man, what are we crying about? Do you imagine, galaxies getting sucked in, we better revolve, pals, oh shit. You know what I mean?
But you know what? They might be going to another universe.
Or they might be like, that's our power source. Do you know that thing? Look at all, we got a generator going like a motherfucker.
Reality is so much weirder. Like the minute you pull one thread on reality, it all shifts a little bit. And it's like, once you see through it just a little bit, and you can see it's all about energy and frequency. It's literally as if, look at the sutures on top of your head, the way they come together, if you can feel it with your hand. You can actually press on it a little bit and open it slightly.
Well, we were, yeah, Rich, that's the thing, man. I mean, and this is the story. They tell you flat out. The Anunnaki said, we brought you here, happy little apes, kind of bipped you up a little bit.
And there are gold mines in South Africa that are at least 50,000 years old. Yep. And probably 100 or more. People in South Africa were mining gold for what? Oh, and there are cities in South Africa that don't have doors. There's not one door, but there were rooms, all kinds of rooms. How the fuck are they getting into the rooms with no fucking doors? There's no doors.
You're teleporting or you're shifting through.
Yeah, who's shifting in and out of this fucking room? Who the fuck is this?
Or it's just a hellacious joke.
Black people don't do anything amazing, right? 100,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
No, but there were other people there too. But the point is, You don't know. People discount Africa. There's a lot of stuff.
Well,
we've
got to remember this. I keep saying this. Science is a methodology, not a set of answers. So what seems eternal truth now isn't really right or wrong. It's just not completely understood. You know what I'm saying? Like atoms were correct. It wasn't right or wrong. We just did there was more atomic shit at the bottom of atoms. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. We just get more and more. Yeah, there's lots of. But the point is, like, I have found out. I studied with this Indonesian music teacher in Cal Arts, and if you don't know anything about Indonesian music and art is all magical. It's all shamanistic, magical, everything. They have an orchestra called the gamelan, and the gong is the center of it. They believe the gong is actually alive, and it is.
Reincarnated,
it's a real, because way they make the gongs, the guys who pound them out chant special magical chants and sing to them constantly as they're pounded. The whole thing of making them. And actually, there's one at UCLA, a gong that was supposed to, a whole set that was supposed to go to a king, and it didn't go to the king. It went to UCLA, and apparently there started to be a lot of weird accidents, and people died. And they asked my teacher how to fix it, and he told them how to make offerings to it, so it would stop doing that. And they do it. But like everything in Indonesian stuff is magical. Every single thing is magical, and it's like. So when you see things from that point of view, you understand it's weird. It's weird, but it's like they see things more clearly in a sense. But for us, if I explain it through the matrix, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You know?
So once again, what we would call their magic or superstition is calling our science perfectly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter whether you call it this or that. It does in the sense that what your mind is using to focus, and that's the thing people forget, that sometimes the clinical detachment of science takes away the human element of emotion and the spirituality that we need, the fascination, the awe. You know what I mean? And that's what I was given as a kid, like just always side snatch your type people. God, I'm doing it again. Sorry. All these scientists and National Geographic types who would just sit there and just marvel at a rock and literally just be, amazed. And it was the combination of pure magic and science, the knowledge of science, the knowledge of the stratification and the layers and the time involved, and then the human magic of just being able to appreciate that, to really think this rock is millions of years old. Mm-hmm. If it could be observed, what could it tell you? Just laying there in the mud watching, like that little Jules Verne time machine shit whipping around, everything is
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Okay, so I learned through him that there were people who would become possessed by spirits regularly through these magical rituals that they do. They're art projects. They're art, but they are also magical rituals. And in one of them, these men got possessed by the spirits, like some sort of pig-type spirit, and they went out to the rice paddies, and they dug themselves deep under the ground, and they stayed there for 12 hours. And when they came out, they were fine. They had no air. They were fine. And the tops of their heads where the sutures were burning hot. And that's happened to more people. People, when that weird stuff like that happens, that when they bury themselves, almost always.
Your crown chakra.
It's literally basically, it's almost like, it basically is that an energy is being beamed through the sun, a series of stars from the center of the galaxy, through the crown of your body. Your consciousness is actually just being beamed into your body from some other place where your actual physical body probably is.
Yeah. Or more, and Sean had a good point.
Or your soul, if you would prefer to think of it as
try to walk in nature. Wherever you are, try at least once a day to get out to some, even if it's just your backyard, take your shoes off, stand on the dirt, sit in the dirt.
Grounding.
If you can walk where there's trees or brushes or forests, anything like that, absolutely. Sean is absolutely on that, man. The more you can spend time in nature, the more balanced and happy and harmonized you'll be. When I got shit around me, I can just listen to a bird song for 30 seconds, and I'm like, I feel better. You know what I mean?
It's important. It's important to be close to nature. Nature is where light is. When you go into nature, you feel happy. You feel at peace. And that's when they talk about light, that light is in nature. And it's hard to explain what it is, but it's literally this consciousness that we block off through our negativity and through the angles. Even like I said, the way we build our buildings. Everything about the way our society is from the ground up is meant to keep us from being able to reach.
A lot of our things are very angular, very pointed. If you notice, nature is all about, for the most part, roundness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nature likes spirals, these Fibonacci sequences. It likes the golden mean. It likes ratios. Nature packages force in circles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Keto students and other martial arts like Kali and Escrima will know this. So when you have really angular, pointy buildings all the time, those really sharp edges, hey, you know what, man? If you're a Cajun or anywhere down near the swamp, man, God bless you, man. I love swamp.
Oh, yeah.
I don't necessarily like all the little insects that bite the shit out of me or half the amount of serpents that are in there, let alone gay. But you know what I mean? The swamp is just another part of nature, man. It's necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, that's worse things than being dirty.
And alligators are okay.
Yeah, alligators, man,
thing.
they got their own thing to do. You know what I mean?
They used to believe they were dragons in places. They would actually read to them and you know, ask them permission for things because they thought they were the only dragons left on Earth. So they would talk to them.
Hey, you know, it's I mean, I don't want to be the guy yakking with the gator and trying to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind yakking with it about a fairly good distance away. You know what I mean? But, don't be that guy that, oh, God, have anyone seen that meme of the chick that got whomped by a buffalo? She didn't get hurt, but it pantsed her, right? And what is it, Patrick is a Navajo, I think is the site, patrickisanavajo.com. We just stumbled on it. There's some riotous shit on there, and there's this one where it's this lady, and she just keeps getting too close to the bison, and it literally hooks her pants, and it's running around with, like, her jeans on its hook.
Yeah, apparently it
horn,
went viral at some
and
point.
they're making all these little things. And again, like, look, man, don't be that person that's just so disrespectful of another culture or animal.
Yeah.
You just don't. Like, here's the rule. When you look up, if you hold your thumb up and the bison is as big as your thumb, you're still too fucking close.
Yeah, you are.
Okay? You're still too fucking close.
It's like a bull.
About yay big, dude.
A bison think of a bison as a wild, it's a wild bull that's even more angry than a wild bull because it's wild.
Right.
It's even more wild than a bull.
Especially,
you know?
especially with little ones around.
Non-domesticated
And the point was,
bull.
it was nice because she didn't get hurt. You know, no one got blood at your thing, but it did kind of humiliate her a little. It pantsed her, and it gave those around a lusty chuckle and a great meme to run on. So, again, man, please go out in nature.
Yeah.
Admire it. And I'm not worried about you, Sean, guys like you. I mean, actually, I'm pretty sure everyone on this list is.
Real quick, like, listen, we'll get more into stuff I meant to talk about next week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was kind of.
We kind of started talking about other stuff. But listen, you can read, you know, this one thing I want to put to rest is you don't have to be evil to stay young.
No,
okay?
you don't.
They think they're staying
lie.
young. They're not staying young. They're hollowing their souls out to be inhabited by demons. That's what's happening.
They're staying alive longer,
Yeah.
but they're aging faster. They do it. So they're it's literally like
Exactly.
a candle that's been burned out from both ends and in the dead center.
Exactly. They're monsters, okay? The way you become ageless is you do it's internal alchemy. If you're a woman, you have to take in male energy, and you have to balance your male and female energy until you kind of feel non-binary, and the same for a man. You have to take in female energy.
But in a spiritual sense.
In a
not
spirit,
not in a physical. If you're feeling physically, and everyone who is, man, cool. I'm just saying from a magical point of view, what we're talking about is rationalizing it in your mind so that you don't feel obsessed with, oh, this is a masculine behavior, or this is a feminine behavior,
you're going to be
I gotta be this way,
so
I gotta
much
be that
of a
way.
human being. You won't need to be like, oh, I'm male now and I'm female now. You're going to be so much like, I am me beyond this body, and I can't believe you would just label me by this body. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm so much more than just this. It's just more, it's just like you're like, I don't have to decide not to act like this because that's what a guy would do.
And this is what we're trying to tell you guys in the beginning.
And I don't have to label myself because I'm doing that either, you know?
Yeah, well, of course not, Martin, thoughts are good. The thing is so much of the time when you're trying to be just a person, a non-sexual being going about it, your sexuality is still there, and the people you run into are so sexually frustrated or stuck in whatever that they can't help but see you. We can look at that one. But the point is that, man, it's really tough right now.
Yeah.
Just trying to be as compassionate and forgiving as you can to those that are kind of cruel to you. And if they're just press the issue, then just try to go somewhere else and be around those that will really appreciate your effort. But either way, guys, love yourselves.
Yeah, listen, we'll get more into the sexy stuff next week. We kind of got off track. But, like, definitely he's going to have a long time to talk about cunnilingus techniques.
Yeah, and again, guys.
And I'll talk more about basically with a guy, really exciting to a guy, and you just want to concentrate on taking only the excess energy.
Yes.
And you don't want to tap into his, like, root and shit because that's going to drain him too much.
You're not a vampire.
If it's a guy that you're in love with. If it's another guy, you get 9 times, and then you have to break it off with him, basically. Yeah. You know? That's how that works.
Either way, guys, have a lot of good oral sex, clean.
Yes.
And again, just remember that people do have an oral fixation. So, if you find yourself eating a lot more or drinking a lot more or whatever, try to eat as much food as you like, as much cocking as you can, and let that be your nice little oral fixation. Anyway, thank you all for attending, man.
Yes.
We hope we gave you a laugh and a smile. We appreciate every one of you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Have a great week. Oh, thanks, guys.
And we'll try to be on
yeah,
tomorrow.
next week I'll try to give something a little more action. All right?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Cool,
You have a good one, and we'll talk to you then.
Bye-bye. And bye-bye, guys. We love you guys. All of you who listen.
Eat a lot of pussy, suck a lot of dick.